Now, for the millions of people who use online banking every week, there's hardly ever a need to visit a high street branch.
Yeah, but for a lot of other people, more traditional methods still proving pretty popular. Ben's here, and Ben, what are you holding?
What are you holding? What is that thing I've never seen before?
Like some of our younger viewers, Ben, you might well ask, what am I holding? Some people may be baffled by this. It is a passbook. You used to have to use these to record all sorts of transactions when you went into your bank or building society to deposit cash or cheques. You get a stamp to show that you had legitimately put money into the account. It would then help you keep a record there of the money that you've deposited for your savings or money that you've withdrawn. Let me explain why we're talking about it all this morning. Good morning. Yeah, these sorts of books have actually been around since the 18th century and are most commonly used for savings accounts at building societies. It's like a combined passport and bank book, hence passbook, which you go into a branch, give to the cashier, it identifies you as the account holder and it records your transactions and balance on paper without having to use online banking. Now, when they were first introduced, these passbooks gave customers more power because they held a physical record of their own finances rather than having to ask to see the account in a leather-bound ledger held at the bank. But passbooks have been disappearing. Nationwide, the UK's biggest building society replaced them with a savings wallet in February, a combination of a banking card and a wallet. They say it's vital to keep account systems up-to-date, efficient and robust, and the old passbooks no longer do that. Similarly, Lloyds Banking Group, which includes Halifax, has not issued new passbooks to customers since 2015. But here's the question, would people miss them if they were phased out?
Just a much easier reference, and you've got the information there at your fingertips when you want it.
So if I was to say to you that they're on the way out, how would you feel about that?
Well, I'd be sad, but we'd cope. We would cope.
Maybe for older people, if historically had that, they've always paid into it, then, you know, a change to something digital might not be best, but probably for younger generations, they'll probably look at that and be like, use Apple Pay or transfer digitally.
It's a physical document showing you what you've got and where. Whereas so much is online nowadays, and if you're not very au fait online.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what this is. I've never seen this before.
And you don't think you'd have any need for it either?
No, I don't think so. No, just sort of do it on your phone, and yet.
In it, indeed. Now, many smaller building societies do still use passbooks. Yorkshire Building Society says more than 500,000 of its members, that's 1 in every 6, used passbooks for their savings accounts in 2023. Leeds Building Society says 3/4 of its members prefer passbook to manage savings and told them they would look elsewhere if they were withdrawn, which Leeds stresses they have no plans to do. Nottingham Building Society joked to us, a building society without a passbook is like a roast dinner without the gravy. Personal finance expert Amy Knight understands why they're still being used.
There's a couple of groups of people who are most at risk if passbooks are withdrawn. Firstly, older people who may be less digitally literate. Banking and finance has undergone such a huge amount of change over the last few decades that it's very understandable why older people might prefer a more old-fashioned way of keeping track of their savings. But also, we found that younger people who are more likely to want to use cash for day-to-day budgeting are also really keen to keep hold of their passbooks because they've got a record that's physically in their hand to show them how much money they've got.
So, even though most of us use online and mobile banking these days, it seems there is still a place for a pocket-sized physical ledger recording our deposits and withdrawals.
Ben, is that